My name is Una Bianca Srabovic-Ryan. I'm 26 years old and I'm a British Bosnian. I am the official speaker of the Bosnian Genocide Educational Trust, and here is my story. I was born in January 1996 in a city called Tuzla in Bosnia. This was 6 months after the genocide that happened in July in 1995 in Srebrenica and other villages. Following my birth, I was placed in an orphanage ready to be adopted. At 6 months old, I was adopted by my adoptive parents. My adoptive mother is Bosnian and my adoptive father is British. Shortly after I was adopted, I was taken to the UK so we could start our life there. As a child, I would often go back to Bosnia because my adoptive mother's family live in Tuzla. From a young age, my mother always used to tell me that I was special and that I didn't grow in her belly. So from a young age, I always knew that I was adopted. I always wanted to know more, and when I started school, my friends were surprised that my adoptive mother and my adoptive brother, they would pick me up from school, but they would look nothing like me. They were surprised that I was related to them because they had blonde hair, blue eyes, and I have brown hair and brown eyes. I wasn't comfortable telling a lot of people that I was adopted, especially because I was quite young and I didn't really know the full story, and I didn't want people to ask the questions that I didn't have the answers to, and I didn't really understand it myself. As I got older, my adoptive mother told me a little bit more about why I was adopted, and she said that it was because my birth mother, she was about 14 at the time, quite young, and she had given birth to me, and this was just after the genocide in Srebrenica. My adoptive mother wasn't able to tell me a lot about my birth father, so I still felt like there were pieces missing from the puzzle. When I was 16 years old, my adoptive mother found my birth mother on Facebook, and I got to see some pictures of her and her family, and I could see that they were living in Australia. After the genocide, a lot of Bosnians sought refuge in other countries, so these countries could include USA, Australia, Canada. With my permission, my adoptive mother messaged my birth mother on Facebook and said something along the lines of, I adopted your daughter in 1996. Her name is Una. She's happy, she's healthy, she's 16, she wants to get to know you, and just little things of that I wanted to know what time I was born, because I never knew what time I was born. However, I didn't get a response for a very long time after that message was sent, and I kind of just got used to it. I kind of thought, okay, my birth mother, she has her life now in Australia. I'm part of her past. I just thought maybe she didn't want to get to know me, and that was fine. I had 16 years without her, and with my adoptive family, I can get through this. Then in 2016, I woke up to a message on my phone, and it was from my birth mother, and I ran downstairs and I said to my adoptive mother, like, oh my goodness, she's messaged me. And I just kept thinking like I was in a crazy dream, because I had wanted her to message me for all this time and she didn't. And then I got the message. So it seemed like it was a dream. So when I ran downstairs and I told my adoptive mother, I think by that point, my adoptive mother and my birth mother had already exchanged a few messages, and I now know the reason why she didn't open or read the message that was sent in 2012. And this was because when you message someone on Facebook and you're not friends with them, the message usually goes into a message request folder, and it's not something that pops up on your message screen. It's something that you have to actively find on your Facebook. And I have to admit that my biological mother is not very tech friendly. So she had no idea, that this message request folder even existed. And I think it was one day, my cousin, she was going through my biological mother's phone, just trying to delete these spam messages. And then she came across the message from my adoptive mother, and then She told my biological mother, and then next thing is that she messaged me, and she messaged back my adoptive mother. So then after that, we spoke on the phone, and I found out that she had 4 children. So in 2012, I knew that she had 2 children, but then because we were speaking in 2016, she had 2 more children. So I found out she has 4 children. I have 4 half siblings, and she's married to a Bosnian, and he's amazing. He thinks of me as his own child, and that's just something that makes it even better, really. In 2017, so the year after, I actually visited Australia for the first time, and I saw my family, and it was amazing. I always wanted a big family, and there's a lot of them. So my mum and my siblings and her husband, and then her husband's family, my mum's family, cousins. So yeah, there's a lot of them, and that's basically all I ever wanted, really. So going back to the point where my friends would not see a lot of similarities between me and my adoptive family, at this point, when I was staying with my biological family, I saw a lot of similarities. So they all have brown hair and brown eyes, so I inherited that from my mother and from my father, and it was just really nice to see those similarities. As odd that it may sound, it's like just the little things that make you happy. And it was crazy to know that I shared blood with these people, because I had never known any blood relatives before this point. So I wanted to know if my biological mother ever tried to search for me, and she told me that she did. She went to the hospital in Tuzla when she visited Bosnia. She asked for information about me following the birth. Unfortunately, they couldn't tell her anything. Because it was a closed adoption, they said that she's been adopted by a family, and that's all the information that she could get. She told me that she had also tried to search on Facebook for me. However, she was searching with the name Yasmina, so that was my birth name. However, when I was adoptive, my adopted parents called me Una. However, my birth mother didn't know of the name change. So she always thought my name had stayed with Yasmina. So she was extensively searching through Facebook for someone that basically didn't exist. And that's why she got nowhere with her search. So we kept in touch throughout that year, and then again in 2018 I visited Australia, and this time I really wanted to know a bit more about my birth father. My birth mother told me that she and my biological father were in a relationship prior to the genocide. However, she told me that he was murdered in the genocide when he had just turned 17 years old. My birth mother told me that she didn't know she was pregnant until 5 months along. So this means that by the time she found out she was pregnant, my biological father, he had already been killed. So he actually had never knew or had any idea that I existed. So because I knew that I was never going to meet my birth father, I really wanted to see if I can find my paternal family, my paternal grandparents. I really wanted to find my paternal family because my biological mother's parents, they died before the genocide, and my biological mother's brothers, they were killed in the genocide. My mother has one sister and one brother that are still alive today. So yeah, I just wanted to really find my paternal family and tell them that I exist. So I spoke to a few of my family members in Australia, and along the searching and digging, they found out that they knew someone that I was related to, and they were friends with them on Facebook all this time. And I feel like in Srebrenica, it's such a small town, maybe like everyone knows everyone, I'm not sure, but yeah, so they had someone on their Facebook all along that I was related to. So through them we can get more information about my grandparents, my paternal grandparents specifically. And we found my paternal grandparents, and they're still alive, and they were living in Bosnia. And they also come from a very big family. My grandfather has a lot of siblings. And I also found out that my biological father, he has two brothers, and one of them lives in the United States and one of them lives in Canada. So this was amazing for me, because even though I cannot directly meet my father, I can feel like I can meet my father through them and maybe see what his personality was like, and does he look like them, and does he look like my grandparents? So yeah, it was amazing. So when I visited Australia in 2018, that was from November to December, and the following January in 2019 I actually had a flight booked to Bosnia anyway. So I thought, this is like the perfect time that, I've just found out who my family are in December. In January, I'm going to Bosnia and I'm going to meet them for the very first time. So I arrived to Bosnia in January. I was staying with my adoptive mother's family, and we decided, just to be sure, me and my paternal family, that we should just get a DNA test, just to 100% know that I am my father's daughter. So before we took the DNA test, I had actually met my grandparents and my dad's auntie, who I will just call my auntie. And again, it was surreal to see them, because it's like the part of my dad that, because I don't have my dad's not here, it's like they're the next best thing. And I could see the similarities in them. I only have one photo of my dad, and that's from the Remembering Srebrenica memorial website, where they have the list of all the victims, and that's the only photo that we have of him. So I was able to then refer to that photo and them in person, and that's how I could just see the resemblance. And I tried to find out a bit more information about my father as well, to see if we have any similarities. Like, what was he like as a person? Did he like animals? Because I love animals. What was his favorite food? What was his personality like? So yeah, I really wish that I got to meet him. Me and my grandfather and my auntie, we also went to the Srebrenica memorial in Potocari, and this was before the DNA results came back. So at this point I had met this family that I was hoping to be mine, and I was going to my dad's grave, and I didn't really know what to feel, because the DNA test results, they didn't come back. So I didn't know, is this really my father that was buried here? And as much as I really wanted these people to be part of my family, it was also like the dreadful feeling of, what if the results were not positive, were not good news? I think that one thing that really helped me get through waiting for the DNA results, because I was worried that it wasn't going to be good news, my paternal grandparents and my auntie, they said, it doesn't matter if the results, they show that you're not related to us, because you're always going to be part of our family. And I thought that was just amazing to hear, that I didn't need to be blood related to be accepted into their family. So then, after a very long wait, The results did come, and they were like 99.9%. I was related to my father. I was my father's daughter, and my grandparents. They were so happy, and I think it's even more special because I was the last thing. I was my dad's only child, so there was nothing else of him apart from his brothers, so it just made it like extra special. And yeah, it was amazing. It was such a sigh of relief as well. And then I knew that I had all this other family that I just had to meet. So a few months later, I went to the USA and I met my biological dad's brother, so my uncle, for the first time, and his family. And since then, I think I have seen them about 3 times. So yeah, I've got a lot of family all over the world, and I try to go and visit them as much as I can. I go back to Bosnia as much as I can, and every time I go to Bosnia, I make sure that I go to Potocari to see my father. And it's also not just my father who was killed, but a lot of my uncles were also killed, and my cousins. So we make sure that we go and pay them a visit. And actually in 2022, so last year, was the first time that I was there in Bosnia for the anniversary, for the genocide anniversary. So yeah, it was amazing. Like, a lot of people go and they pay their respects from all around the world. I saw my mum came from Australia, and my siblings, I saw them. And yeah, it's like we all just came together. My mum, my grandparents, my dad, we were all there together in one place. And I felt like the last piece of the puzzle was like finally in. And I've got this like whole bigger picture now that I can understand. And it was funny, actually, when I was sat under the tree in the memorial center, I basically just said to myself, oh, if my dad was actually listening and watching over us right now, please let me see like a butterfly or a ladybug or something. And then I looked down on the blanket, and there was a ladybug, and I thought, oh my goodness, out of all the things, and I actually did see a ladybug. So I really thought that my dad was there with us in that moment. So that's my story, and thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.